when you and Anthony were talking, when he was saying like everything seems to be coming to a head, like everything's converging, and like something's gonna end, and there's something, and it's like that's what it feels like. Like just to kind of like follow up with it. I know you didn't say it, but like he was talking about it.
No, yeah, I think everyone's kind of had that feeling since, well, at least since COVID, right? I mean, at least since 2020, there's just this tension that you can almost feel in the air, and it's not. It seems like everyone can feel it, So something's coming to a head, whether it's our political situation in this country, whether it's global, geopolitics between East and West, or whether it's in the church with whatever's going to happen with Francis, after Francis, or all of the above at once. Who knows? I don't know, but I think everyone has the sense that something is coming.
Because like the church, and especially in America, like the church and the politics seem to be converging in the same direction, and that seems very problematic on several levels. And so that feeling of COVID, since COVID, I agree with you. I think that feeling's been there, because I think for a lot of people that that was an unveiling.
Yes.
That was a revelation of they are playing us, and they are playing us hard.
I think it dispelled all the myths that we were told about ourselves and our country, and I don't mean that in the woke sort of like 1617 or 1619 project sort of way, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yes.
But I think everyone does realize that, even on the conservative side, that what we told ourselves about ourselves was flawed, in major ways. And what we thought was right, or the way forward, wasn't. And I think you're seeing this especially within the Republican Party and so-called conservative movement in the US, is, with the rise of what, the left likes to term the alt-right and stuff like that, is all those of us who thought we were conservative by being, freedom loving, quasi libertarians, or at least I was, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I think a lot of people have realized, like, that's not true conservatism, and it's not how we want to live, or it's not how we get back to the world we want.
Right, because it's a status quo position.
Mm-hmm.
It's a because I never went libertarian. Like, I never went libertarian. It's funny to say. I never went libertarian because I was too hung up on, in a good way, on the pro-life issue. And it was like libertarians are like, oh, we should be okay with that. It should be up to each and every person. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't. Like just as much as like I don't think someone should come and kill you, like I don't think someone should go and kill like the baby. And right. So this idea of like libertarian, like I could never find the words of exactly why libertarianism was so bad. Like I knew, like, from one of my undergrads is in political science, and one of it was like I knew that they were socially liberal, conservatively,
fiscally,
fiscally conservative. And so you had that, and so it was like, okay, well, I can see both of them. I know how they do that, and they're both consistent. You have laissez-faire, and then you have, well, you can do your vice, I can do my vice, which is essentially what it boils down to. But it's like, I think it was like in the last 3 years, I was just like, libertarian is literally just the promotion of the status quo. It doesn't act to do anything.
No.
It is incredibly defensive, and that is not going to move us anywhere, because fundamentally you need something to push back, and libertarianism does not push back. It just backs up. Like
it
that's what it
yeah, it really has no principles besides like leave me alone. And, like
well, right, like
that's
yeah.
not a principle. That's not something you can act on.
Yeah, and like like as much as I love politics, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I've gotten to like what is it after mass I've gotten into debates with people where I'm like I'll slip like yeah like I'll talk to Father Eric and be like yeah libertarianism doesn't make any sense as a Catholic, like it fundamentally does not make any sense
Hmm.
prudentially, like and so like I know you know there's a huge array of ways we can do it, but like libertarianism is not one of them because it allows for like you'd have to basically make libertarianism not libertarianism for it to be Catholic. And
Yeah.
so like that's what and so people got mad at me and they're like, well, do you do this and do that? And I'm like, yeah, for those things, but like that's not a universal thing I apply to everything. Like it's like I think schools like there's ideas I have about schools. I don't want to necessarily get into it, but I used to be I don't know if you knew this, but like I used to be a trustee here in Michigan
No, I don't know that.
on a school board, and so my kids go to private school. They go to a private Catholic school, but it's like, but like even those, like you have to check, you have to make sure.
Yeah, you do.
You can't just be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to send them to the private school and it's going to be great. And it's like, yeah, like
I mean,
they're
that's
probably
what our grandparents' generation did with our parents' generation. You
that
know,
no, that's totally true. All five
at
of
least
my
in Catholic families.
right, like my dad or my grandfather was like Anthony. He was a construction worker,
Mhm.
and
Well, hopefully not exactly like Anthony.
well, he wasn't Italian.
Okay, good.
No, he was Irish, and my grandmother, they had 5 kids, and all 5 of them went to Catholic school, and all of them, except one, goes to mass on a regular basis. The one that goes to mass on a regular basis has some serious issues with other things, and so like the schooling that they got, and that's I said this in another video, but like it's like they didn't have apologetics.
Yeah.
Like apologetics was dropped in the catechesis, and it's like if you don't know how to defend yourself, you're just going to take whatever
Mhm.
because you're just like, okay, well, I don't want to confront you because that causes a division, and division is bad. And it's like that was kind of the mindset, and so like I have some like renewed sympathy for boomers in being like, well, they were just given like a crapshoot of
Mhm.
a lot of things, and it was their parents generation that was the problem.
I
Especially
think
good.
in our country, like up until like our parents' generation, for the 150 years before that, there was always another wave of new Catholic immigrants that would come into the country as Catholics in their faith and would kind of renew Catholicism in the country until they assimilated.
Yep.
Then they would assimilate, go along to get along, didn't want to cause division, just wanted to live the American dream, right? Then another wave of immigration would come in, whether it's from Italy, Ireland,
Poland
Poland,
for us over here.
Croatia. A lot of
Yeah,
Croatian Catholics where I grew up.
yeah,
And
we
it would
actually have a Croatian parish here.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but then that stopped, and there was not another wave to come in and renew it, and all the Catholics in the country just went along to get along.
Well, yeah, like so my grandfather spoke Polish, and he wasn't from Poland. He was born on the boat from Poland, and he
Hmm.
was an American citizen and everything. My great grandfather was from Poland, and his let's see, they all knew Polish. So this is an example of that, where it's like they didn't pass down their language because they
Yeah.
wanted to assimilate.
Yep.
And I'm like, why the hell didn't you do that? Like that
Hmm.
is like knowing Polish is incredible. Like there's some families that did do that, and we have like Our Lady of Czestochowa. It's
Mhm.
a very Polish. It's so like I think I said this before, where it's like it's so Polish. Like everything in the lobby, in the door, like it's all in Polish, and so the idea of assimilating, it was assimilating to a Protestant culture.
Mhm.
Like that was the thing, and so people are wondering like, how did this happen? Well, it's like they weren't assimilating to a Catholic culture; they were assimilating to a Protestant culture, and it's like very interesting because I'm surrounded by Chaldeans in
Okay.
where I live, and so the Chaldeans come here, and they came here in several different waves.
Yep.
They come from Iraq, and almost entirely out of persecution
Yep.
from the Muslims, and so they what is it? They're having first, second, and third generations now. And my good friends, I have a really good friend who's Chaldean, and it's kind of crazy because like they have some of that, but because they're right, like they're literally their liturgical right, and all of the culture really does spring from their right.
Yep.
Like it's held together from it, and it's very firm. And so you have like Chaldeans in California. That's another big place for Chaldeans, but they're primarily in here in Michigan. This is where they're one of their two bishops
Okay.
that are in America, and it's awesome to see them because they're not like they're assimilating, but they're assimilating in a way where it's like it's almost completely from a financial perspective. Like where like socially they're like, okay, well we are going to stick to the church. And now I can't say this for everything. It's only for
Right.
what I've seen. But it's like because I don't know like how they divvy up in terms of like politics or how they practice in other ways. But from what I've seen, I live in a very Chaldean neighborhood, and they're multi-generational in their housing. They support like their fathers. And what was it? It was a little over 50% of them have their own business. Like of all Chaldeans, a little over 50% have their own business, and so they're like doing really well as a group financially. But it's awesome to also see them as like they're still like all of the parishes are packed. You see rosaries, like they wear rosaries
Hmm.
like around their neck. Like Latins, we're not supposed to really do that, but
Right.
for them, that is something that they've practiced from.
Although the Hispanic cultures, that it's a bigger thing in Hispanic cultures too. But yeah.
And so like it's cool to see like you're driving down the road, and you go and you look to your right and you see like a rosary hanging down. Like that's another thing that they do, where they'll have a rosary hanging down from their rearview mirror.
Hmm.
And it's like it's incredibly edifying to see that.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a bumper sticker. It's like, no, that's a devotional tool. I bet you they pray that when they drive places.